we say that we have an educational crisis? Would you say that the system is broken?
So I think I have to qualify what does mean by crisis. It's something that's difficult, and also the issue of suffering. So I just wonder whether our situation is in crisis. What more? Too broken.
So you don't think we are there yet?
I don't think so. Because we can still survive with the system as for now.
If we allow this trajectory to continue,
Yeah,
we may have a crisis.
yeah.
Azmil and Francis.
I don't think, it's a crisis in that sense, but for sure we have been stagnating. Because I think to discuss this topic, we need to put it in some kind of a perspective. And the perspective is that for 30, 40 years, we had a very good run. We've got universal primary school education, lower secondary school, upper secondary, 84, and even university. And I am currently looking very closely at what's happening in Burma. That's a crisis situation, for sure. Yeah.
Azmil, your thoughts?
There are different types of crisis. What concerns me, looking at the education system, is its role as a unifier, as a place to cultivate national identity that transcends, our ethnic and religious differences. It no longer functions as that because it's so becoming more and more mono-ethnic and mono-religious. So you see like more non-Malay parents, sending their kids to non-national schools. But I think what you see in schools, in the education system, is perhaps a reflection of the fragmentation, the polarization that we see in our society right now. I feel that there's a looming crisis there.
There are two trends. There are two trends that's happening now. One is, as you have mentioned, the fact that we have 4 different streams of schools. And the other thing that is happening is the fact that we are not doing too well as far as our international ranking. So as far as our international ranking, we have been consistently falling in our PISA rank. And we have had the largest drop in the region. We are still ahead of Indonesia, but Vietnam has overtaken us. So now my next question is, things have changed in the last 30, 40 years. Prof, what has changed?
Before I take your question about change, I think the issue of PISA, I think you have to understand, when you talk about the quality of education, the main purpose of education to develop or to produce a holistic individual. But if you look at the international tests, assessment, things like a PISA, it's just focusing on the subject. It's a subject base.
We cannot really use PISA as a benchmark because there are other elements that PISA does not assess.
Yeah.
Okay, and we might score higher. We might.
Yeah.
Would you say that things have changed in the last 30 years? One of the facts that, as Azmil has said, we have become more fragmented as a society. We have become less united. So what has changed in the last 30 years?
So I thought I just want to focus on the test was probably because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's unfair to say that our system is constantly dropped.
Yes, but we have dropped the most. We have dropped the most.
But we still command a good position in talking about the region, for example. Of course, we can say that Vietnam is taking over us. But we still will fare better in the last PISA, 51 out of 81, right?
Yes. Your thoughts, Francis Azmil?
Go ahead.
For me, the PISA is not an important criteria, to measure the changes that I'm trying to suggest. For me, actually, the biggest problem that we face is we have actually done massively well in democratizing education at all the various
Yes,
levels.
I agree.
Okay. But because of that, we have not been able to, we have compromised the quality of education that we once had. For me, this is actually the big aspect of the crisis. And PISA is very indirectly involved in that. For me, it comes down to, are we doing a good job with training our teachers? Maybe the focus is there, actually. Not, and I'm talking about both at the school level as well as in the university. And, we have actually, our students, we did so well, bring them into the system, but we have not given them the quality education that they deserve. We're going to have, Malaysia will face a huge problem, in terms of HRD, human resource development, and we're not going to be able to compete against, Singapore and China and Japan. Maybe we might still have the edge over Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and all that. And East Timor is coming in as our neighbor. Yeah, we'll have the edge there. But Vietnam, for instance, is overtaking us in the PISA scores. So it's for me, this is the aspect. Zero in on actually, this is the manpower problem. And I want to address that first and foremost. And we perhaps don't have the necessary measure, to actually determine to what extent the rot has set in. But for me, it is possible for us to actually do something about it. But the rot has to be settled. And I was so expectant. I was so enthusiastic when a new change of government took place. Maybe they'll listen to us finally. And this is the aspiration, this is the hope, that actually you can do something, but the top must listen to us. We have got proposals about what we ought to be doing.